All right, we are back. Finally, it's been a long time. We had a bit of downtime there where we just happened to catch in the middle of where all the matches were going on, so we didn't have a match available to throw on the stream, but we were able to pick up in the middle of one of the most epic matches we've had today. It is Yoshi versus Dancer in a pretty epic TVP.
That's right. Game 1 went over 40 minutes. And it was Tempest versus Vikings there at the end. And I think that Dancer was the one to pick up the win on that one. So he's going up 1-0 against Yoshi. And this is a little bit further back in the bracket compared to where we just were. The winner of this match will go on to play against Desro. And then that they will be competing for a spot in the semifinals, which will be picking up tomorrow.
Yep. It's going to be pretty exciting times. Tomorrow is going to be some big deal matches, but we've had some pretty big ones so far today. Just waiting for the players to tell me they're ready here. Here's Yoshi is said ready, and Dancer
is ready.
All right, let's do this. Starting the game in 10 seconds.
That's
Delegation.
Right. Yep.
Yoshi, the second place finisher last year at Youmacon, so we certainly expect him to finish high this year. He has a very unique mech only no matter what play style. So predictions would include
mech all the time.
All mech all the time. Long games.
I did see him add a few ghosts into his composition in the last game as I caught the tail end of it, the last few minutes, and there were a few ghosts. Not a lot, but enough. So
all right, but here we go into game number 2. Jumping into the middle of this match, it is going to be in the upper right-hand corner, the pink Terran. His name is Yoshi.
And in the top left-hand corner of this map, in the yellow Protoss Robotics, it is Dancer.
All right, so as we heard, the last game of this went to a grand old 40 to 45 minutes or so. So we may be in for a ride here, folks.
That's right.
It was Dancer 1 and Yoshi 0 currently. So, and as we mentioned, Yoshi, like I said, we probably spent half the weekend casting Yoshi last year at Youmacon.
It did seem that way, yeah.
It seriously felt that way. Oh, Dancer asking for a pause, so no big deal. So, as I was saying, we spent literally half the weekend casting Yoshi because we had best of sevens last year too, which oh my god, especially the finals when it went to I believe Yoshi won one, and then we go into another best of 7 of 45-minute games.
So yeah, there was a lot of playing, and he was, I mean, but to his credit, he really hung on there.
Oh
so
yeah, he did.
It looks like whatever issue there was resolved, and so this game is resumed.
So jumping back in, gas going down as the supply depot is finishing. So I would normally say that this looks like a Reaper opening delegation, but we're talking about Yoshi here. And
well, he's got to build a barracks to get to a factory, so you never know.
He has been known to build a marine or two, but wasting that gas on something that's not mech would just be silly.
In the meantime, Gateway going down on the other side of the map for Dancer, still getting those probes out and gas just now going down.
Yeah, and honestly, that's something we didn't see very frequently last year. It was almost always the TVZ for Yoshi because there weren't that many Protoss in the later stages of the tournament. So honestly, we haven't seen that many games against Protoss, and I guess from what we heard last game with it ending up Tempest versus Viking, that's definitely different than anything we've seen so far. So I'm interested and excited to see what we're going to see here in this TVP with these two players. So it looks like accidentally Dancer is going to sort of skirt the SCV of Yoshi, not really accidentally, but and also Yoshi checking the tower there to see if he can see Dancer's probe, but alas, it was already gone, and he's going to go the wrong direction to scout, but Dancer is going to make it into Yoshi's base, and he's going to see none other than a factory. Go figure.
And he even canceled that marine and is now putting down a reactor on the barracks. So
you know what that reactor is going to be used for? Certainly not to make anything out of the barracks. Have I harped on this enough already?
I think you're beating the horse to death.
Yes.
So Dancer is now heading back home, satisfied with the information that he got. And it looks like he's actually going to be putting down in Nexus as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much the right and only play here that's I mean, it's just solid against this because he knows. I mean, it's fairly well known around here, the playstyle of Yoshi, and he advertises on his Twitter and all kinds of stuff like that. So I think people are fairly confident in going for the sort of Nexus first openings, not Nexus first, but quick expand openings, and certainly what you want to do to get your economy going to be able to match up to the strength of the eventual army there. And looks like a SCV came in to scout out, didn't really see a whole lot, just the normal stuff. Gateway, Cybercore, 2 gas going down. Looks like Dancer is a little supply blocked here, waiting for this pylon to finish, so it's going to slow him down just a little bit.
So 2 Hellions are produced, 2 more are in production. Starport is on its way. No, it looks like there's no intentions for him to expand just yet. Probably wait till he gets this drop ready to go.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty quick drop if he gets this this medevac out here pretty quickly. Looks like he's going to go for some Widow Mines as well. Widow Mines, just dropping them has been pretty popular. He's just going to go ahead and run across with these Hellions, which is not a terrible idea given that the expansion is down. It's not really any kind of walls or anything to segregate stuff off. He does have these stalkers on the ramp, probably in hold position so that the will not be coming up there. And I imagine we didn't see the opening on game number 1, but I imagine it's fairly consistent at this point. The Zealot will be sacrificing his life here because there's no way for him to get out. But there is also 1 probe here, but it looks like he's just going to go ahead and run away. Yeah,
just Mineral walk on through. And the Hellions decide they're just going to head home, actually. They killed that Zealot, and they're going to walk on by. And the probe is on that tower, so he does know what's going on. Oh, looks like they're turning back around.
And the Mothership Core here sniffs out what's coming as there is a drop coming into the back of the base of Dancer, but
he's going
it's
way
actually
out.
Going out front. Needs to get that back to be able to get that photon overcharge down. Looks like he does have enough energy, but going to go ahead and be dropping these mines in the main base of Dancer. 1 and 2, but nice reaction time here by Dancer. Looks like he is not going to be triggering trigger 1 of the mines, 1 kill, but he does have an observer here already. He's going to shoo away that medevac with the photon overcharge, and eventually move this observer over to kill that mine.
And he's moving the probes back into the main base, and sure enough, yep, mine is toast. So not a whole lot of damage done there.
Yeah, so I mean, that's oftentimes how it works out, especially when players are expecting it. But 2 more mines walking up the ramp here. Stalker's going to take a couple shots at him, but they are, oh no,
oh my,
oh no, that's literally the worst that could possibly go. 2 stalkers, 2 shots, GG.
Yoshi's got to be feeling really good about that, actually.
Yeah.
So the mines are still in place. The observer knows that they're there. He can see them, but there's really just not a whole lot that can take care of them at the moment.
Pretty much all there is the Mothership Core right here, and he's keeping that up in the main base just in case any more drops come in, as that is always a threat since that medevac is still there, even though it has nothing in it. But 2 stalkers are going to go ahead and come down. But looks like he's just going to run these away. He knows that there's going to be an observer nearby and might as well not lose them. And it looks like he might actually run up and meet up with this medevac here to maybe drop it in the back again.
Well, there is another mine, and Yoshi just killed 2 more. It's in the main line right back there. So Dancer's trying to keep his probes out of range, but 1 did kind of stray away.
Yeah, he does have his rally unset on the Nexus, so he's still producing probes, but they're not going to mine there, so they can deal with that. Oh, maybe it's an accident down here. So he's got 3 idle probes at the bottom of his Nexus. Dancer. Mine's getting in the head of Dancer here a little bit, it seems like, as Yoshi has now expanded, setting up his wall here at the front and distributing his SCVs to get set up here. Now, he does have these mines here at the possible expansions of Dancer, so he is going to have to make a little bit of an investment in running out there in order to be able to take those, in the fact that he's going to need an observer, and he's also supply blocked once again. So that not going to be good. He has 2 pylons on the way, but it's still going to be another 4 or 5 seconds or so before they get done. And these 3 poor probes are still sitting down here, so that's not helping his economy any.
No, it's not, and he's kind of not. I mean, he's been looking back at his base, but he just is not aware. He's not looking at his idle worker count, I guess.
So now a big load up here. Actually, some bio units. Wow, this is odd. 8 Marines loaded up in this medevac. He knew we were talking about it. He's going to go and do a drop here. The best way to be aggressive. He does have an observer here, but it's not really in a great position to see the drop coming, so he's only going to see it after it's already in his base.
But there is a decent amount that's over there. It looks like he marched those out of there. He did warp in a few things behind his mineral line, but that Stalker is getting picked up. The Marines are doing a lot of damage. It looks like they're going to try and go for that pylon there, and second pylon behind it.
Mothership Core is available and threw down a Photon Overcharge, but the Marines staying on the outside of that radius. Looks like he's not going to get a cancel on that gateway. However, these Stalkers are going to be able to clean up these Marines pretty easily here.
Yeah, he wanted to hunt down that sentry, but wasn't able to take it down.
So looking at the resources lost, Dancer has lost 1,400 to the 850 of Yoshi, so not a huge disparity in there. Yoshi has been poking, but he hasn't done any just huge damage. Dancer has been fairly unimpeded in his progression here, but while at the same time, Yoshi is just kind of setting up his little fortress here. Has expanded, he's got his natural fully saturated, and he does not have another command center going down quite yet, but he should be expanding here eventually. Blink is just about to finish up, as well as +2 armor was just started, and Templar Archives for Dancer, so looking like he's going to go down the Templar Archon route here. Another Observer coming out, chrono boosting his upgrades. Those 3 poor probes, man.
They're still just standing there.
Just sitting there.
It looks like Yoshi's been doing a fairly effective job of denying a third base. He had a mine at each of them. Now they're just being cleaned up. Does do some decent damage. Takes out a single Stalker with that mine, and the Observer does get up there. Oh, he didn't quite get it though.
Gets up there almost enough.
He takes he takes a single shot at it, but he did take out the mine that was at the south base, and so that next hit is going to go up now.
Yeah, it looks like he does have Blink now. It looks like this is a nice little Blink path here. The tanks at the front really aren't sieged. He does have his Observer here, but I'm not sure. He's seeing one tank there, so I'm sure he's sure that there's more behind it. But the Stalkers coming up here don't really have any vision to come up this side cliff here, but that is certainly the weak point at the moment. But coming out in this medevac is going to be 4 Hellions. So yet another harassment drop here coming into the main base of Dancer here shortly. One Hellion does venture out a little bit.
And now those tanks are sieging up. So Dancer is continuing to reposition. The medevac that has the Hellions is now making its way into the main base and boosting forward, going to be dropping right into that mineral line. Photon Overcharge does go down.
Oh, all the probes stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, they're doing their best to try and contain.
They only lost 2 probes there. Wow,
not too bad.
Yeah, they all bunched up right down here in front of this gas guy. It's like, oh my God, one hit. Looks like not a whole lot going down here. The Hellbats being converted into Hellbats here. Command center has been created and it's headed out, but there are a bunch of Stalkers out here. So,
so Yoshi's built kind of a remote command center down here in the very south of the base, or the south side of the map, and that's kind of a hidden fort.
Yeah, these Stalkers looks like they're going to be able to get quite a bit of damage done here. He does have a Observer, so he could blink up to finish them off if he wants, but that is a little bit risky given that he doesn't know what's up there. But that command center does go down.
That's right. But the front side here for Yoshi is very well protected. There's a ton of tanks, and there's just no way that you can march straight up into that.
Yeah, there's the single Marine out here that's poking away at this pylon. He wants to get that down. It's got 2 looks like tanks in this medevac here, and Dancer did see it, so he's going to blink up here to try and stop that, but he looks like he is actually going to make it to his base. He doesn't have a whole lot here. Warps in a Templar and a Stalker. Going to try, one feedback in here. Could take it out because it had full energy. Great feedback there.
It was, and that was a really good play there by warping in that high Templar, just kind of knowing exactly what he needed to do to take care of that.
So it is 3 bases to 3 bases right now, given that Yoshi does have an extra base down here, although it is a little bit more efficient for Dancer, given that he is able to actually transfer probes between them. Yoshi not so much able to do that, as Dancer has set up a little contain out here, and Yoshi has not felt too spunky to get out of it yet, but nice job taking off these Hellions here with a nice little blink. Those are some Hellbats that will not exist later.
That's true.
It looks like he might be setting up for a blink here up into the main base, but he is inside the radius of the sensor tower, so Yoshi is aware of what's going on.
Meanwhile, in the third, the medevac is going to be moving in and dropping those Hellbats right into the line. Cannon is doing what it can, but oh no, the Hellbats are going straight for the cannon, so that gives the probes time to move away. He tries to pick up and reposition. It is going to get some damage done there. Does take out the medevac, and now is morphing in an Archon.
Wow, yeah, that was 8 probe kills. Even though that was a little bit little bit derpy there on those Hellbats. They did get in the hits they needed to kill a decent number of probes.
And it did pull back a lot of the army, too, so it stopped a lot of the contain that had been going on there. Not that Yoshi was really feeling it too badly, but no, my goodness, that is a big SCV transfer going to that third.
Yeah, but Dancer's really taking advantage of the play style of Yoshi. I mean, he's pretty much expanding without any caution to the wind. He's just going to keep moving out here. And these Stalkers are being a very mobile force for him against the very slow army of Yoshi right now. He'll probably end up being able to take down this command center without a problem. The army is moving down. There are some ghosts in there, and he's targeting down. Oh, nice storm right on top of those Hellbats and ghosts. He could get some feedbacks off here if he's very careful, but the army is beginning to position itself down here so that the command center will be a little bit safe, but those tanks just can't quite decide where they want to go.
So now moving in from two sides, Zealots and Hellbats are facing off on the north end, and the Stalkers are trying to get some shots in on the south end, and it looks like both sides are going Yoshi's way, frankly.
Yeah, so many Hellbats, and I mean, part of his strategy here is just using these sensor towers, and he can just keep tabs on everything that's going on, and he doesn't know exactly what's out there, but I mean, he can easily keep tabs on what's going on. And Dancer hasn't really made any moves to transition out of this force that he has, and honestly, I think that he's just kind of building up. I mean, there's a huge number of Hellbats coming, or sorry, Hellions coming down here, and this is easily going to clear out this base. There are going to be no probes left here after this day.
Yeah, and that was really smart and good map reading by Yoshi there. He knew where the forces of Dancer were and decided, you know what, I can just kind of sneak these guys out and do things. However, now there's a three-pronged attack moving in, and they're going to try and take out all of these tanks. Storm's going down, and Archon's being morphed in, but there's just not enough hit, it seems.
There was an EMP on that Immortal, but was not able to take it out, so he did get quite a bit of damage done there, and he's going to force Yoshi to unsiege his position to move up if he wants to try and chase it down.
He was able to take out that command center, though, so he's going to have, Yoshi's going to have to rebuild that.
It's currently 43 probes to 67 SCVs, so Yoshi has a fairly huge economic advantage after he wiped out so many of the probes there. Looking at the units lost, 34 probes have been killed to 7 SCVs. So that is certainly going to hurt the economy of Dancer, and he's going to have to get that back going. I mean, he really needs to find out about this base of Yoshi down here at the 6 o'clock position.
Yeah, I mean, that's just been all gas all the time for Yoshi, and that's really what he needs. And I almost wonder if Dancer is aware of the anomaly of the amount of gas units that are on the field versus the number of bases that are currently being mined.
Yeah, I mean, Yoshi has a huge bank of gas. So he's got 1,400 in the bank with almost no minerals. So he's spending down the minerals, but he has quite a reserve of gas. Putting down another command center in front here, getting ready to continue to expand. Scanning up forward to see what kind of, what the positioning of Dancer's units are. He sees a couple of Immortals trundling their way out, but oh, there's a couple. Wow, that's a pretty vulnerable Archon there.
And so it looks like Yoshi is going to try and move forward here for some aggression. In the meantime, Zealots are moving southward with a couple of High Templar as well, going to be picking off some of those Hellbats.
He certainly killed all those Hellbats and forcing Yoshi to turn around, which is actually what Dancer wanted to happen. Sensor tower is exposed out there. Nice feedback on, it looked like a Raven. Wasn't quite able to tell.
Yeah, it must have been.
So Dancer's, I mean, he's doing what he needs to do. He's just keeping Yoshi busy and keeping him moving his forces around, which is giving him time to get the things he wants. +2 attack now going down for his ground units, and he's just moving in to try and do something about that third base once again after pulling his entire army up to the north.
So Planetary Fortress is taking heavy damage as this army is moving in, and Yoshi just decides to move the SCVs out of there while he waits for his army to come back.
So a nuke has been planted at the third base here, but most of the probes were moved away. Only one was sacrificed, although another nuke going down. So probes not able to go back to their job of mining. No real detection down here. This is actually a really good spot for this ghost up here on this cliff, and he's going to end up taking out that gas geyser, doing quite a bit of damage to the Nexus and the cannon. Scan's going down the middle to see where the army of Dancer is, and he sees it.
He certainly does. So Yoshi's really been kind of able to do what he wants. He does have a lot of idle SCVs right now. He has not moved them back to his third base there.
Dancer really needs to do something about these swing arounds with these Hellions, because that is just totally hurting him here because he's losing so many probes. I saw over his shoulder towards the end of game number 1 that he had a lot of cannons at every base, but you're just not seeing that so far. Another nuke being put down here at the 3rd base. There is an observer here, and the Ghost is just straight uncloaked as it is anyway. Looks like he ran out of energy, but continued nukes going down will prevent the mining here. And Yoshi just trying to really exert his economic advantage. And
Yoshi has killed 49 workers of Dancers in this game.
Currently, there exists 52 to 70, so the disparity of workers is not getting any closer. All the tanks now unsieging. Looks like he's going to try and make a move across the map again. Maybe.
More nukes being produced back at home.
Yep. Looks like Dancer deciding to put down some cannons now at his further out expansion, so they're a little bit easier to defend. He's just kind of been taking, like you said, so many probe losses here, and wants to do something about that. And it's just gonna take some resources to be able to defend those bases up. But he's moving out pretty strongly down on the south side here, while just again trying to keep the army of Yoshi up towards the north. Oh, nice storm right on top of those Hellbats. 2 nice storms.
Honestly, despite the worker disparity, like, Dancer's actually been able to stay in this game very well. Like, the food is very even, and he's even got more upgrades than his opponent does. He's got currently 2-3, while his opponent only has +2 vehicle and ship weapons. So,
yeah, honestly, probably the best thing that Dancer could do right now is to have a to drop some Zealots in the mineral line of Yoshi here and just let the splash damage kill all the SCVs. So, but I really like what Dancer's doing, and I think this is really creative because he's totally exploiting the cons of having this kind of army from Yoshi, because it's incredibly immobile. You just can't be everywhere at once, and Dancer's army is fairly mobile. I mean, it's got Immortals, which aren't so much, Templar, which are pretty slow, but he does have the Blink Stalkers that can just kind of poke around, keep a small army of these Zealots, Archons, and Templar up north that can do quite a bit of damage, but still be threatening this lower base here, because he's mined out in his main. He's basically mined out in his natural, just setting up a 4th base over here. And the 3rd, now there's a Zealot in there doing some damage to SCVs, and still now this base at the bottom is heavily saturated.
And this is something that I really like to see out of Yoshi, and we've seen this before from him, is that he really just forces you into the attack path that he wants you to take. Yeah. He's got these 3 command centers going up at the north end of the map, and he's going to turn those into planetary fortresses. He's just saying, no, you're not getting through here. You've got to attack the way that I want you to attack.
But also, that's leaving his 3rd here extremely exposed. And this Zealot, man, oh my goodness, this Zealot. He's got 18 kills before, and they are all SCVs.
Wow, big kills on SCVs now.
21 total kills for that Zealot, even taking out the missile turret. So that entire base was cleared out, and that's purely because of the distraction. Oh my gosh, all of the tanks are unsieged, but huge EMP on every single one of those Immortals. They have got to get out of dodge right now.
And getting out is what he's doing indeed. The Vikings land to try and help out, but the retreat has already begun, and now we see battle cruisers being added to the army.
Also, Colossus looks like is going to be added here for Dancer. The last game, we were told that Dancer ended up going for Tempest, which actually worked out pretty well, I guess. But still, look at the army of Dancer. He's got a few Zealots up here. He's got a pretty beefy army up here of Archons, Immortals, and Templar, and all his mobile Blink Stalkers at the bottom. So he can kind of respond anywhere depending on where Yoshi puts some effort. And this tank and Viking army of Yoshi is just like, where do we go? Where do we got to stay together?
Yeah, back and forth, back and forth. It's like escorting SCVs one way and the other.
I mean, he's keeping them unsieged so that he can kind of move them at will when he needs to, but yeah, it's pretty tough.
Fleet Beacon being added now. There are 2 Stargates on the field for Dancer. And he does have to come up with some kind of answer to these battle cruisers that are coming out.
So again, these Blink Stalkers doing some damage to this original 3rd base. EMP is going down, taking out all the shields for the Stalkers, and they're pretty easily separated here. Nuke going down at the 4th base of Dancer. He's going to have to get the probes out of there, which he does respond to nicely. He's doing a pretty good job of not losing too many probes to this type of harassment. Looks like the Ghost does end up getting taken out there, and not going to sustain a too terrible amount of damage from that nuke.
Ghost does run out of energy, so he's revealed, and the Archon and Zealot are hot on its heels.
Yeah, I mean, he has got to I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter if he finds out about this base at the bottom because it's completely mined out.
Right, yeah.
And actually pretty heavily oversaturated at the moment. It would almost be kind of like Yoshi just to kind of bait him down there to find it after, just as it's mining out. Be like, look what I did. So looking at the supply, Yoshi is not that much ahead of Dancer. As you said, Tempests are on the way after the fleet beacon is completed. So we are going to be seeing either some sort of carrier or Tempest play. I'm assuming Tempest based on what we saw last game. The Templar moving along with the Archons. I really like this this Templar Archon play here. I'm sorry, Templar Immortal play here. It's pretty beefy here, and this army, this army of Yoshi cracks me up. It's just like up, down, as Dancer just keeps pulling him in every single direction.
But honestly, the damage that Dancer's getting done isn't all that substantial,
No.
because he is doing some damage to these planetary fortresses that are up here. But by the time that he would really be able to get through them, the tanks have arrived.
But look at the units lost here. It's almost exactly even.
It has definitely grown in Dancer's favor, that's for sure.
And that's exactly where Dancer wants to be. Oh my gosh, he forgot to put the probes back to mining at the fourth base. But that's exactly where Dancer wants to be, because at that rate he can win the war of attrition, because if he's making Yoshi lose that much, I mean, he's mining out these bases so fast between SCVs and the mules. He's got a total of basically 4 mined out bases if you count this bottom one. So he's only working on one fresh base, and that's the base that Dancer is really focusing on right now, and he's doing a ton of damage.
Yeah, I mean, he's running in with these Zealots, and he's got the High Templars in behind, so he uses the Zealots as the meat shield long enough for the Templars to get the Storms off on the mineral line.
The base has been found, Gallegation.
Indeed it has, while it's way oversaturated, and the gas is honestly almost mined out from both of those.
Yeah, there's another Ghost on the low ground here at the fourth base of Dancer, going to be dropping out of the nuke. It is actually going to take out those cannons and maybe one of those pylons, depending on the range. So definitely continuing to put on a little bit of pressure there, but not getting a whole lot done. While Yoshi is moving across the map, Yoshi and Dancer within 10 supply of each other. This is going to be a pretty big engagement here. You can pretty much say goodbye to this base, as it's going to go down nearly instantly. Although, like we mentioned earlier, this combination of Mech and Ghost is actually pretty cool against Protoss, because the EMPs are quite useful. But here come the Tempest, and from the range they have, that's going to do quite a bit of damage. He can just take down these battle cruisers and tank pretty quickly. Yeah. One-shotting battle cruisers, that's pretty good.
Wow. And I'd say that's a pretty effective answer to the battle cruisers. Now moving in on those tanks, the Vikings are still landed. They're trying to take care of these Immortals before they come back up.
Yeah, those point defense drones are just getting it done against those Tempests. Those so few Tempests, those point defense drones take out such a massive. Not one of those has actually made it to hit a battle cruiser yet. Point defense drones, most broken unit NA.
So some feedback's going down on those battle cruisers to do some damage. And Tempest moving forward, they are getting outside of the range of the point defense drones now.
Got to see just the last couple seconds there of the Youmacon cannon research finishing up. But now it looks like Dancer is pushing Yoshi back. I mean, let's be honest, Yoshi took a lot of damage there. Dancer's supply is 125 to 100, and the resources lost is 36K to 30K. So that went heavily in the favor of Dancer.
And Dancer, I mean, also was able to kill a ton of SCVs during that fight as well. I mean, the ones that were at the bottom, that Zealot really basically just was able to do whatever it wanted.
Yeah, and Yoshi, looking at the income here, Yoshi's still mining quite a bit more than Dancer. I actually am surprised to see that, but he's going to be running out pretty soon. He does have this base here established that the Tempests are flying by. He could nearly one-shot that command center with those Tempests if he would see it, but I don't think he noticed it. Now he turns around. Tempests coming in, as well as the Templar, likely going to drop a storm. Oh no.
Wow. What an EMP that was.
That's something to write home about. Those point defense drones, man.
Yeah, major EMP went down on the High Templar. They're just turning into Archons now because they're practically useless.
Nice Youmacon cannons went out there against those Tempests too, so now Dancer's going to have to pull back, as that did not go in his favor. Battle cruisers proving their worth there. It looks like we're kind of morphing into the same stage we had last game from what we heard from the people who were watching is this Battlecruiser Viking versus Tempest.
And Yoshi's doing a really good job of just kind of hanging out by this base that he needs. There's really not a whole lot of other defensible positions for him to take a base at this point.
Yeah, and that's the downside of the build that Yoshi's got going on is it's not so easy to move out against this very beefy air force that Dancer has here. I mean, he can continue. He's got 2 Marines here without combat shield, just kind of poke around and let him know that he's still there. But, I mean, with these Tempests, he could easily come up here and just try and take out this planetary fortress or something like that without too much of a commitment. But he does still have his small ground army kind of sneaking around towards the original 3rd.
Once again, a nuke is trying to go down on the that 3rd base position. And it is not going to really get a whole lot of probe kills. Once again, those got out of there, but still being very annoying.
Yep, and now he's moving in towards the 3rd base here. Does end up clearing that out. The Zealots getting the job done against this command center, and actually taking out that orbital command is would be kind of a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, great storm there, and just walking right on through it. Some feedbacks going down on the battlecruisers as well, and those Hellbats are just like they just have no life left. The Zealots go back in and are able to clean them up. So more Hellbats back in production. This orbital command needs to land. There it goes. But Vikings and battlecruisers, that's what he's keeping out there, and those Tempests are having a real hard time getting at him.
Yeah, I mean, Dancer's got quite an interesting supply here. I mean, looking at his units, he's got 9 Tempests, 2 Archons, 16 Zealots, so largely just Tempest Zealot at the moment. But the thing is, he does not have a lot of workers, but neither does Yoshi, so most of the supply right now is army supply.
And they're both continuing to do heavy damage to each other's mineral lines.
Yeah, Yoshi being kind of relentless down here with these nukes gives just enough time for the shields to heal up on this Nexus here before another one comes in. But looks like Dancer might not notice this. Oh, just last second does get his... Oh, he does lose 3, it looks like. But now, you know, Dancer is running into the same issue that Yoshi has. He's running out of bases and kind of needs to take and expand here to be able to continue his income and to be able to build up this strong army. He does have +3 shields coming down as well as +2 air attack, which is going to be important for these Tempests, producing 1 at a time currently.
Yeah, I mean, he just doesn't have the gas production at this point, so he's got to take another base, but unfortunately, there's just not a really good position for him to take a base that's all that defensible.
Yeah, pretty much right here at the 6 o'clock position is going to be where he's going to need to go. Looks like he's moving down there to maybe secure that a little bit. There is a mine that's interestingly placed there, and Yoshi may have seen the motion down there of Dancer's units, but it's not quite clear exactly. He is just kind of back in his main defensive position in the core of control, we'll call it.
Yep, and I mean, once again, those 2 command centers going down by his new mining base. He just wants to really funnel the units the way he wants them to go.
Yeah, actually, down at this command center that was sitting on the bottom, I wonder if Yoshi forgot about it or didn't have it on a control group or something, but it's got almost full energy, or at least it did until it just went down. Zealots now coming in to take out a couple more bases, so losing a couple orbital commands here is eventually going to hurt the income of Yoshi, as he produces less and less SCVs and more mules for mining.
And he's been really good about keeping the energy low, aside from the one that was in the air. So he's been using those mules and those scans.
I mean, looking at the units, there's only 43 SCVs now for Yoshi and 44 probes. So as far as mining units here, they're about even, but he does have the mules here. He is repairing a command center that is not he has a lot of command centers that aren't really morphed into anything.
Yeah, they're just serving as walls for the most part. Which, honestly, like, in this situation, I feel like Dancer's base that's over here, this, like potentially a 3rd or 4th base position that's still mining, he doesn't really have to worry a ton about that being pushed on, because if Yoshi is trying to retreat out of there, he's going to run into his own walls trying to get away from it. So he's really got to pull the army in one direction and make sure that it's not getting back to do any damage there. But in the meantime, Hellions are doing some damage to some probes in the mining base in the center of the map.
I do like how Yoshi has kind of brought mines back into the mix here in the late game. As there's more and more Zealots and Templar running around, one mine shot could just be absolutely devastating. Looks like the mines are on cooldown here. The units may escape them, but looks like not quite all of them. Oh, those Templar are so close to the mines. Oh no, and it's turning right into the... Oh no. the Templar, only one Templar makes it through with energy, but that storm that he had left was so worth it.
It was good, but I don't know if it was worth losing 5 High Templars to get off.
That was a joke. So Probes against Blue Flame Hellions here. Turns out actually Probes win. Sort of ironic, but it looks like Dancer now does have a base established down in the bottom in the 5 o'clock position. 2 Probes down there, not really doing anything. He's kind of busy managing what's going on up north here, but he needs to get his Probes down there and mining here before too long. Looks like most of it is actually trying to find what probes he has. Looks like he doesn't have a whole lot. Only 24 probes remaining now for Dancer, but that is enough to saturate the one base here. Chrono Boost going down, scan just outside the range of the base he has established here. Hellions still just kind of running around the map too. Just kind of Yoshi just trying to keep tabs on what's going on.
Yoshi does have a ghost on the map that he's just kind of wandering around, trying to figure out where things are going. He did have him following some probes, but it looks like he stopped at where he thought there'd be a base.
And this is the point where we start saying, well, 50 minutes into this game, this is certainly exactly what we expected. Turns out to be a good match. We've got Tempest, we've got Templar, we've got Observers, and right now we've basically got a 15-minute economy game at the 50-minute mark. So right now it's just going to be efficiency of units, and who can hold on to their units the better. I mean, the supply heavily in Yoshi's favor at the moment, but Yoshi's still very immobile.
Yeah, he does have that mothership out now, so those Tempests are pretty defended here. And now he's just going to move things forward. Oh, those High Templars are getting kind of out of position, but
nice storms.
He does get great storms. One High Templar does end up going down, but the other one does get out barely with its life, and that was a lot of SCVs that really Yoshi couldn't afford to lose. Does lose that command center as well, and he immediately puts it back down despite his low income of minerals. So
13 probes were just killed at the 5 o'clock base of Dancer by a nuclear missile, which apparently was unseen, but also 11 SCVs were killed. So the worker count remained fairly even there at 0 for both players.
Workers killed is 116 for Yoshi and 97 for Dancer.
That's just gross.
That is a lot of units killed. And oh my goodness, Dancer is just out of money. He can make like one more probe.
Yeah, this is how a lot of these games have gone. It gets to the point where all the bases are mined out or no one can take a base, but once now the point defense drones are out, so the Tempests are actually nullified. Oh, the mothership is getting out there. All of the Tempests fire at one Viking. Man, those... All I can do is shake my head at those point defense drones. So good. So good.
They are useful in this type of battle.
So Dancer is spending most of his money now making a couple of probes. He does have one, which represents 1/4 of his mining doing nothing up there. One-shotting some battlecruisers here. Looks like they may have gotten a bit overzealous.
Oh, but they're getting some Yamato cannons off. They did take out 2 Tempests. The mothership does fall.
He did get that point defense drone down, so he was not able to take down a second one. But I think there's only, looking at the units, there is currently 3 Ravens on the field, and another nuke is scheduled for arrival at the 5 o'clock base down here. And looks like Dancer just kind of saying, I need to take a different angle at this, so he's going to go to the south. Once again, he is in range. Oh no, the Templar get taken out by a single mine shot.
Oh.
Sad. So the Tempest now, I mean, pretty much Yoshi could kind of move in and do what he wants here because the entire army of Dancer is on the right side, although it's going to have a hard time getting to him.
Yeah, these Tempests are in big trouble. The Vikings are moving in and doing big damage. 2 Tempests do fall so far. Oh no.
Nice feedbacks on those ghosts there. Does end up taking those out, but he really needs to feedback those Ravens. Those are what's really stifling him right now with those point defense drones.
And there are a lot, and they've got some decent energy on them.
Yeah, so there's a couple Hellions whacking away at the Nexus here. Looks like this game is definitely, probably, maybe going to go in the favor of Yoshi here, but you never know. There's no, looking at the income, there's Well, Yoshi's still mining 700 minerals a minute, so he's still got a decent bit of income here. So he's just going to continue building up here while Dancer just kind of isn't.
And these Hellions are moving around trying to kill whatever they can. Stalkers are there. They do blink forward, and the Hellions don't get a single shot off on the probes, with the Stalkers bearing the brunt of it.
So as we've seen with most of these games that involve Yoshi, it ends up turning out to be a war of attrition. Who gets the most tired the fastest? And it looks like Yoshi's winning that this time, whereas Dancer won the previous time. No, we just have not seen anyone able to end a game quickly with Yoshi.
I mean, he plays so defensively,
He does.
and that's his whole style.
No. One mine shot takes off about half the shields of most of the Tempest, and is still just continuing to try and poke them around. All of the SCVs coming down here to mine right underneath the Tempest.
Unfortunately, Tempests aren't very efficient at killing SCVs. He only gets 4 kills.
Yep. But nevertheless, he does know where he's planning on expanding, I suppose. And now there's Hellions coming into the 5 o'clock base here of Dancer, the only one remaining. So he's not really going to get too many kills because the Hellions sort of focus on the Stalkers. But yeah, so he still doesn't have much economy anyway. Orbital Command does land, and Yoshi just kind of goes back to his little safe zone here and hangs out while Dancer figures out what he's going to do. He hasn't had a whole lot of production lately. He's got 1 Tempest en route. He has lost an alarming number of Templar to mines. So, I mean, that's really been a big factor in this game so far, is the inability to really move around the map once Yoshi started making mines again and placing them around.
And he does have an observer over there now, so he was able to pick off the 2 that were doing a lot of damage to him. But, I mean, this Tempest army is just dwindling. And, oh, Youmacon cannon is going off, and, oh.
Does not quite take out that Tempest, but does quite a bit of damage to it. And honestly, if these point defense drones are just able to just essentially nullify the Tempest here in these battles.
And the Vikings are moving forward. They smell blood, man. Those Vikings, every time they move, it's just like, come here.
Come on, come on.
So High Templars, 1 moving forward. He's going to try and get a Storm, maybe? Yep, there's the Storm, and does some damage to those
The
Vikings.
advantage he has here holding the tower is it does give him the bonus range on the Tempest, but there's just nothing he's able to really take too many shots at here. He's going to try and sneak up here and maybe take out one of these bases, but...
Oh, wow. Feedback on Ghost does kill 3. And now feedbacking the battle cruisers as well. Oh, my goodness, those point defense drones. And now the Tempests are just getting hammered. These Vikings are moving forward, and this is the end of the Tempest.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be the end of more than the Tempest, I believe, as I would certainly expect a GG here any literal second. But, you know, you've gone 57 minutes. Why not go one more?
Why not go a few more? There it is.
There it is. GG.
GG.
Woo.
So,
oh, man.
1-1 now in this series after nearly 2 hours of gameplay.
Yeah. But, man, I like Dancer's style, though. I think he's got the right idea. But still, it's just Yoshi is just so defensive in his play. There's just not much that you can do against him in the early stages of the game.
Yeah, I mean, he was really having a hard time getting in. I mean, it was a real slugfest, too. I mean, over 100 workers killed on both sides. They were really doing a lot of damage to each other, and therefore keeping the game kind of at an even keel. But Yoshi was able to just kind of continue to gain those units. Those point defense drones were just worth their weight in gold.
Yeah.
He just was able to nullify a lot of the damage that he would have taken and just pick off 1 or 2 units here and there and slowly build the superior army.
Yeah, it's the point defense drones, and honestly, later in the game, those Widow mines that were just placed around. So there's no count for High Templar lost to mines in the game, but if I just do a rough count, it had to be at least 15.
Yeah, there were a lot.
There were a lot of High Templar that just got sucked
a lot of high energy Templar as well, which are the ones that you want to keep usually.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will be back here shortly with game number 3 in this epic series between Dancer and Yoshi. So hang with us. We'll be right back.